No, no, it's okay. No, yes.
Okay, so thanks. Just to spend a little and a few words about my journey in a pharmaceutical company. As Luciano Saso shared before, my name is Laura Salvi, and at the moment I am the CMR Associate Director and Obesity Medical Manager for Novo Nordisk Italy. CMR stands for Clinical, Medical Affair and Regulatory Affair, because in our company this department, the CMR department, really have these closely these three different souls, but there are in this department there are roles that really closely collaborate day by day. What about my journey? I am a doctor, I'm a physician specialized in endocrinology and metabolic disease. And I spent all of my time during my fellowship also to metabolic disease. And then after my specialization, I decided to move to the pharmaceutical company. And at the beginning, I really didn't know so much about the pharmaceutical about a pharmaceutical company, but I read sometimes a lot of interesting articles and news about the medical affairs, and this really made me curious. And so when I have the first opportunity to have the first interview in a pharmaceutical company, I decided to take this opportunity in medical affair as a medical advisor, and I start my career in 2016 in an Italian pharmaceutical company. Then I moved in another company in Italy, dedicated always in a medical affair role as a medical advisor, but in a different therapeutic area. So something really distant from my, let's say, comfort zone. So in the respiratory area. But this make me, and this was a great opportunity for me to really be more focused about the role and responsibility for a medical advisor and for this role. Then finally, I moved to Novo Nordisk, and in the first year I spent my time as a medical advisor dedicated and responsible for diabetes and insulin treatment. And finally, in September, I moved to this new position as Associate Director and Medical Manager for this new therapeutic area. In this few presentation, I would like to give you some practical tips and also really some an overview about what medical affairs does, so the role of medical affairs within a pharmaceutical company, and also what are the roles and opportunities within the medical affair, thinking about a career plan in this department. And then what are the skills that medical affairs department search in new people when we are hiring some people for position within this department. So about the mission of medical affairs, something was said also in the previous presentation, but I would like to point out that medical affairs more and more during the last year plays a key role, not only as a supporting role for other departments as the scientific reference point into the company. But more and more in last year, we as medical affairs cover a key strategic role. And last but not least, we have a sort of forwarding-looking strategy, and we are the department within the pharmaceutical company that's really prepared the ground before the marketing of a new treatment, of a new solution for many, many people. So we finally have this opportunity and this mission to act to advance patient care. So patients are at the center of our mission, and the purpose is for us, for our each daily working, is to let a lot of people, a lot of patients reach the best treatment, the best solution for a specific treatment area. So in practice, what medical affairs does, so how medical affairs helps to advance patient care. And here you see 6 pillars that really identify some tasks, some strategic objectives for medical affairs. The first one is to have this interpretation and contextualization of new and emerging data around a specific therapeutic area. The second one is to identify what are the main gaps in this therapeutic area, and so to make an evidence generation. So mainly generating real-world evidence. The third one pillar for us is to have this peer-to-peer conversation and engagement with the key opinion leaders, with a really strong scientific dialogue that are really important to identify gaps and to identify what are the main contact point to collaborate and to partner up, to act to give this best treatment solution to a lot of people. Then we have the responsibility to identify clinical practice insights, and this is really important to cover the phase between the R&D phase that really have this clinical trial program for the development of each molecule to the drug marketing. And to do that, we have to identify what are the main insights among a specific therapeutic area, and to share these valuable insights into our company with other departments, if appropriate. Then another important thing for us is to educate HCPs, so educate physicians and other decision makers on the effectiveness of the new product. But in some cases, we have also to educate more and more about a specific disease. So we have to make a kind of disease awareness. And this is not only for HCPs and other decision makers, but we have to think of something related also to patients. And we have to support other internal function in the company as a scientific reference point, as I shared before, as a medical guidance. So, as I shared, medical affairs is a really strategic role within the pharmaceutical company and during the whole product life cycle. Because if you think about the product life cycle, there are three main phases that we have to keep in our minds. The first one is about the pre-launch phases. The second part is about the launch phase, so put this new molecule into the market, and then the post-launch phase. And as you can see, regards the R&D function and the commercial function, this department, this function covers specific phases of this product life cycle. But medical affairs really cover these three main phases over all the product life cycles, with identifying main activities in order to have and prepare a best launch phases, but also to manage really in a great way a pre-launch phases, preparing and paving the ground for the arrival of this new solution. And also medical affairs cover some specific post-launch phases activities, like, for instance, real-world evidence generation. What are the main role within the medical affairs? I would like to divide these roles in two main categories. The first one is about the entry-level roles. So about this one, we have two main entry roles for medical affairs, that are the medical advisor and the medical science. Like, for example, Novo Nordisk, the same role has a different name. It is called regional medical advisor. And then there are other roles within medical affairs, but they have to be considered not as entry-level roles, because these roles, for these roles, we have to consider some managerial and leadership capabilities, and these roles are the medical manager role and the medical director role. And you can consider these roles as a possibility in a career development for a person that's entry in the medical affair and would like to move on into the medical affairs. What are the main differences between an MSL and a medical advisor? Because I imagine that when you, after this presentation, would like to search about something about MSL job posting or medical advisor, it could be very useful to know different. Generally in a specific macro region made of certain regions into the field, and he is responsible for one or more of the company products for a specific therapeutic area or several related therapeutic areas in this specific field. So you have to imagine to manage field, local and regional activities, to have this kind of peer-to-peer scientific discussion with regional and local key opinion leaders, but also, for instance, with national key opinion leaders that are in the specific region. And also to define and to map the specific needs for that field. Then the medical advisor role is quite different, is an office-based role, and you are responsible for one or more products of a specific indication in a specific therapeutic area, but at a national level. And another important difference is that the medical advisor is also responsible for maintaining strategic alignment with that headquarters at a global level. So you have the opportunity to have this kind of direct communication with international colleagues. What are the core responsibilities that are covered at a regional and local level by an MSL, at a national level by a medical advisor? You have to maintain the highest level of scientific knowledge. This is a crucial point in medical affair activities. We have to gain credibility, scientific credibility with our opinion leader, with our external stakeholder, and also we have to be a medical guidance for internal stakeholders. So scientific and updating scientific knowledge and an updating scientific knowledge is really a crucial and a key responsibility for this role. We have to facilitate scientific dialogue and this exchange between the industry and the main scientific expert and the main scientific communities.
Laura,
so, for example,
one minute, please.
We need the scientific societies. We have to provide support for research initiatives. So we have to really match this continuous dialogue with our investigator for R&D studies, but also identify new gaps, new opportunity for potential external research collaboration. Yeah. Our main other responsibilities, and I would like to point out that is really crucial also to have this kind of cross-functional collaboration, so to be a team player with other departments. So in order to conclude, what are the skills that we are searching for the medical affairs roles? Strong scientific background and curiosity. So we have to be passionate science. We have to be also lovers of many challenges. We have to have this kind of strategic thinking, this mindset, and for sure, communication, presentation, training, skills, and last but not least, we have to be strong team players. Thank you all.
Thank you, Laura. Also, this presentation was very interesting and also very complementary to the previous one. So it's a bit late, but I think it is worthwhile to spend more time, I think, on all these topics. We apologize with the speakers. We know that, 15 minutes for such big topics, is a very little time, but we need to try to accommodate different presentations. So I don't see in the chat any specific question. And I don't know also, Jos, if you have any question for the two speakers. In general, I also would like to ask to both of them a similar question like before. I mean, you also, I think this is very typical. I mean, we are organizing now many webinars like this under the UNICA umbrella now in cooperation with EPSA and with the Association of the European Faculties of Pharmacy. And very often people working in the industry, they say, I'm doing something that when I started to study or after my degree, I did not even think it exists. So this is something that we try to fill that gap. I think this is, for me, is a bit strange, because in the end, everyone has a degree, so everyone was in touch with the university at some point. So I think it is our duty to keep in touch with our alumni, and so keep this dialogue, so that I think, as Anke also said, life, can be a little bit, if I can add to what you said, sliding doors. I mean, sometimes there are opportunities which you don't expect, and then you have to be determined on one side, but also open-minded. This, I think, is the big challenge for a person, because determination very often does not go hand in hand with completely openness. But this is the challenge. And again, here we have many options. I think for a medical doctor, you have usually you have a specialization, which can be another 4, 5, 6 years of work. In many countries now is becoming very popular, the so-called MD PhD also. And also, I would like to have a comment from you. I mean, for a medical doctor, how important could be to also have a PhD in addition to the specialization in your discipline, and how useful can be a PhD for industry? I mean, when you take a position like the ones you have, very prestigious.
There's a problem with your audio, Anke.
This session is a bit, internet is not
We cannot hear
friendly to us in this session.
There's an echo in your audio.
Oh, is it better when I turn
off
my?
Now, better, yeah, now it's better. Yes.
Okay, so now you don't see me. That's okay. I was going to say that in each step we do during our career, we acquire new skills, and I think that's the same for your PhD. You do acquire skills that you have to have. I think perseverance. You have a scientific question, you do a lot of experiments. In my case, a lot of them failed. So you have to always reinvent yourself, try a new way of getting to a solution. And I think this is definitely an added value towards everything else you do in your further life. But it is not probably the only way you can acquire these skills. So that's why I always say everything is an added value. Everything is something supplementary, but it's of course never the conditio sine qua non. I don't say that people without a PhD don't have these skills, and you can acquire them in other ways. For me, it was very useful. But I think everything you should do, I think you have to leverage it afterwards. But it's really not that you have to do it. But if you're interested in it, it's never a waste of time. And I think you should, I think that's also what I wanted to say. Your career doesn't have to be over tomorrow. You have a lot of years, so you don't have to be rushed, and you have different opportunities to gain new skills, and just take your time, leverage it, and then go to the next.
Can I ask a question to Anke? You mentioned that only 5% of MDs end up in the pharma or biomedical industry. And I was wondering, it's perhaps not only because they don't know much about what is going on there, but I was wondering whether it might also have to do with the specific type of training that physicians get, in the sense that you are made to care for patients. You are trained to make decisions on your own and not as a team player. Well, of course, some physicians, a general practitioner, has to do it alone. Others play also more in teams in hospitals. You work in a cabinet or in a hospital, and now you end up in an office. I was wondering whether that also might play a role in the fact that the percentage is so low, that people who choose to be a physician want other things in life than being stuck in an office, in a sense.
Yes, and I don't know if you can hear me now, if you still have this echo,
okay,
but
yeah.
That is completely correct. Indeed, you are trained to take care of the patient in front of you and not to take care of the whole population of patients. You are really trained to do this clinical work. That is fully correct. And I think that's why I often talk to medical students in Belgium, and we're trying to get this more openness into the curriculum. Also, I don't know how it is in other European countries, too, that if you do a rotation, that you cannot only rotate in the gynecology department and the pediatric department, but you can also have this rotation in the industry, just to see indeed what first skills you need and what do you get, because you don't see the patient anymore, but you get so much other things as a reward. And this true cross-functional teamwork, which for me was different in industry versus in the medicine practice. So yeah, this would, I think, be ideal, because I don't think that if you start as a physician, as the goal is still the same, we still want to improve the life of the patient, that it doesn't mean you're not fit for the pharma industry. It's just that you probably are not, you are not exposed to it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And maybe Laura, if you also would like to intervene.
Yes.
Again, we don't hear you.
And
No, we don't hear you.
About
It's a pity. It's a pity also. Thank you, Laura. But anyway, your presentation was really great, and we managed to follow exactly what you said. So thank you. I think it's a bit late, so we need to move. So many thanks to both speakers. Really excellent, Anke and Laura. And I'm sure that